Alright everybody, how you all doing? Well, I've just had a visit from my mother. She's been here for about 2.5, 3 hours. We talked about lots of things. JW things, non-JW things. And I had a great chance to sit her down and I showed her half a dozen of my videos on YouTube. You know, the ones that I would consider to be of the milder nature, not scathing. But I'm not like that anyway. I'm not a scathing person. You know, I've not really gone to town on the JWs like others have. So I showed her that one where I was trying to identify the role of the faithful and discreet slave and food at the proper time. I showed her that one. I am quite happy with that one because that's how I perceive it. You know, that's just how I foresee and look at a situation, and that's how it panned out to me when 1975 came and went when I was a 12-year-old. So I did a video on it to explain it. I also showed her that one about the UFO experience that I had in 1978 on Avalon Beach with my good friend Mike Humphreys, and she wasn't even aware that I had a UFO experience, and that is probably because I never really discussed it. You know, since 1978 I've never really sat down and told my mum and dad about it. Well, obviously my dad's since died, but I've never really discussed it with my mother either. So she looked at about half a dozen of my videos, and she also looked at the last one I did of the party. I've just done a 45-minute party video for a good friend of mine, singer-songwriter. So she looked at that one. She looked at my JW stuff. She looked at my working videos where I've done Liverpool Football Club videos, and I've done a couple of corporate videos for HK Audio, German audio company, and a few karaoke companies. So none of you guys have seen all that. That's another side of me that I haven't disclosed to you properly. You know, I've maybe talked about it mildly, but I've never really shown you any of those videos. You know, that's on another page and another channel, because I've got about 4 channels on YouTube. And me and my mum, we're a bit worried, obviously, about Daniel's prophecy. Well, I think I'm more worried than her. I mean, she obviously believes that Jesus' return is getting a lot closer now, you know. And I was talking to her about Daniel's prophecy, and in my mind, I've always believed that the final confrontation between the two superpowers, which initially starts between two, will take place over water. I've always had this vision in my head from being a little boy that if missiles are exchanged, they'll be exchanged over water, which tells me that it will be a naval confrontation to begin with. I've had a couple of dreams. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, right? But I've had a few dreams, and well, quite funny, one of my dreams. But Mikey from Kim and Mikey's channel was in one of my dreams, where we went to visit Warwick just before Warwick was bulldozed to the ground. And I've had other dreams, and some of these dreams are quite vivid. And I've had a dream about Daniel's fulfilment prophecy, about this naval battle that takes place. Obviously, what happens to a young mind with the indoctrination, it stays with you through your adult life, and that's obviously what's happened. So I've got this imprint in my brain at the moment that the two superpowers will engage over water, and that there will be some kind of comprehensive and decisive what's the word I'm looking for? Victory for one of them for a time, but a short-lived time, because I think it will have the potential, the confrontation, the potential to bring in the allies of the other countries, and then it will sort of escalate into this final battle. And in this dream, I've seen that the angelic forces will move at the speed of light around a naval force. Obviously, I keep saying obviously, but it might not be obvious to everyone, but when I looked at the Bible and I examined how fast an angel could travel, I could only get my answer by one of the prophets that was praying, and the next thing, within seconds, the angel was at his side. So I'm beginning to think that an angel is capable of travelling at the speed of light, which I think is 185,000 miles per second, which is incredibly fast. And, well, it's just difficult for a human mind to comprehend that kind of speed, isn't it? So I believe that the angels will contain the armies of the world and outfox them, outmaneuver them, so much so that they won't really know where to direct their missiles when this is in full confrontation. When it escalates to that point, the United States or Anglo-America will not know who to direct those missiles to. So I think God will use some kind of diversionary tactic against them, just to keep them confused. Maybe alive to begin with, but confused, so that everyone else can perhaps see what's going on. I don't know. Like I say, it was just in the dream. But it doesn't look too good at the moment, does it? You know, with the tension between Iran and the United Kingdom and our allies, United States, it doesn't look very good at all. And it does make me wonder whether this does have the potential, the real potential, to be the prophecy of Daniel. I don't know. I really don't know. I thought for a while that Russia will still play its role. I still believe that Russia could turn out to be that king of Daniel's prophecy. But we know that Russia will be joined by some allies. But it could be one of the lesser countries or one of the allies that initiates, and then Russia just decides that what choice have they got? So they'll go and support their ally rather than support, obviously, the United States and the UK, whom they don't particularly get on with at all. I don't know. It's interesting. It's quite frightening, though. It's quite frightening because if it turns out to be what I think it could be, then the economies will collapse while, or at some stage through the confrontation, then we'll enter into the Great Tribulation period. And that, within itself, adds a completely new dimension to it, doesn't it? Because then you know that you're on the countdown to being removed from this earth. It's worrying. Yeah. But it was nice to have my mum here for 2.5 hours, and there was no tension between us. And I know more about my sister, you see, and my mother still hasn't made up with my sister since my dad's funeral. And I know a lot more about what my sister's up to, so I was able to sort of fill my mum in on the details of that as well. And I think that she went away quite happy. You know, we hugged, we had a bit of a hug, and then she left. But it was really nice that I could share my YouTube page with her, because I've got nothing to be ashamed of. You know, I haven't done any videos which I personally feel are scathing, because where will that get me? You know, I'm a Piscean. I keep telling you this. I'm a Piscean, and we like to always look at the good in people. You know, we're aquatic, and we like to get on with people. Being Pisceans, we would rather find a common denominator than anger someone and be in direct confrontation to them. I think if more people were Pisceans in this world, there'd be less wars. I don't know. What do you think? Fancy bringing astrology into it right at the end of the conversation. I can't help it. But all the Pisceans that I know are really placid. I've met loads of them. I mean, you know Johnny Cash, he was a Piscean. You know, he was born on the 26th of February. Well, he's obviously older than me. But look how he always tried to get on with people. Through his music and everything else. And it was only the drugs, wasn't it, that undone him in the end. You know, it found his weakness a bit. But even though I used to go on those binges and be away from the home for 2 or 3 weeks, he always had a conscience about it afterwards, you know. He wanted to say sorry, didn't he, to June? I mean, that was his love, wasn't it, June Carter? So he'd upset her, you know, by going away with the lads and drinking to excesses and taking drugs, but he'd come back and he'd be like a dog, a puppy returning and feeling sorry for itself. And that's what I liked about Johnny Cash. It was not just his music, it was the fact that he realised he was an error-ridden person, and he was also God-fearing as well. So, one of my favourite singers, him and Elvis and Matt Monro, my 3 favourite singers. Sure would like to see them again if I got into that new system. Sure would like to sit down with Johnny Cash and Elvis and Matt Monro and say, sing me a song. Just sing to me. Let me hear those beautiful voices that God gave you. Yes, God-given talent you were given. And some of you, after given a God-given talent, used to sing gospel as a way of paying God back. That were nice. There we go. Bye-bye, everybody. I hope you're doing excellent in these troubled times that we live in.